What's up, y'all? So it's Lone Wolf. This is a quick one. Today this is about the WJ, okay? So I wanted to explain something really quick. I'm gonna get in the car. I'm in a Harbor Freight parking lot again. So, as you see in my previous video, I replaced a bar ends because they were loose. They would wobble, okay? And I've been sitting here wondering, okay, well, that one's starting to leak a little bit because I over-greased it a bit. But why do these come loose, okay? And I'm gonna tell you why. And this is a mystery for some people. Why these tie rods come loose, okay? Well, you can see I have the ALE brake system on this thing, okay? The ALE, not the Akebono. You want to do an Akebono swap on this, and I will tell you why, okay? Because this is a straight axle, okay? And it runs your tie rods on bars and pitman arms and all that good stuff, drag links, okay? When you go for a stoplight, okay? When you go up to a stoplight, say you're traveling at 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour, whatever, and you slow down to take the light, okay? When you take corners with this vehicle, this generation, okay, when you take corners with it at high speeds, and they're not slowing down enough, what happens is your bar and your suspension system, it takes the brunt force of the turn. So it takes a lot of stress if you don't slow down to a proper speed, okay? I realized this when I was out delivering at night one night, and I took the corner pretty fast. Well, not really fast, but significantly faster than I should have, okay? Which was probably about like 30 to 35 miles an hour. I shouldn't have taken it that hard, and I realized when I turned the wheel and I turned, I could feel the stress of the turn on the actual joints themselves, okay? So this is a problem with the WJ. What I will tell you, this is why I would say to swap to Akebono brakes, is when you go to slow down with Akebono, you have grease pins which are a lot more effective, and your Jeep will stop more like a car than an ALE brake system. ALE brake systems are very spongy, so their brakes, they're good brakes. The Volkswagen kind of uses the same deal, but they use pins. It's somewhat like Volkswagen, but not, okay? If you don't have Akebono, you need to make sure that you're slowing down pretty freaking decent, but you can't just stomp it all the way and then turn. Your suspension's going to take a big hit. If you upgrade to those ALE or those Akebono brakes, not only do you have, I think it's a bigger rotor size, but the calipers are more effective at slowing down the car. They're more effective as a car would be, where you can brake a lot quicker. These, they're spongier brake. You got to lean into them a little bit. They're just more responsive. So I would say, to fix that issue of your tie rods coming loose out of the knuckles and they sway back and forth, slow down. When you come to a stoplight or you come to a turn, slow down. Baby your Jeep around turns, and you will prolong the life of your tie rods, okay? I realized this last night, and I really haven't seen anything online about it, so I decided to make a quick video about it. But that is why tie rods come out of the knuckle and come loose on WJ, and why people have to shoot them back in. But a lot of times they drop the ball out of the joint, and then you're having to replace the whole freaking thing, which also leads me to the fact that rust isn't the only factor of why the rods get stuck in the bar. They get stuck in the bar because they take so much stress, okay? They take a lot of stress from the turns. So that stress in here causes them to seize, even if you use anti-seize, even if you use all that stuff, okay? I'm cleaning up down here a little bit because I overfilled this boot. But that's why these get stuck, okay? So be easy on your turning. It's more of an off-road vehicle, and it's not a race car, okay? See, a lot of people that drive their Jeeps around like they stole them. Not smart, okay? That is why this happens. But you can see here, these are my ALE brakes. They're pieces of crap. They are pieces of crap. Upgrade at least your fronts, okay? At least your front brakes. Upgrade them, okay? And I say that because, well, there's some people that have actually said online that they didn't see a significant difference with braking when they changed to Akebono. I call bullshit on that, or they have air in their lines still because they didn't bleed their calipers correctly. That's what I think, because honestly, the Akebono system is a lot more effective. You can tell it's a lot more effective. One way to make the ALE brakes a little more effective than just a basic upgrade to it, use disc brake quiet on the outside pad. If you do that, the pad will stick to the caliper rather than warping your rotors. So they'll stick to the caliper and compress evenly instead of having uneven pad wear and having warped rotors. That's an efficient way of prolonging the life of your ALE brakes and preventing warped rotors and uneven pad wear and improved braking, okay? But that's why they come out of the knuckles. That's why they pop out, or they're loose in the joint, or that you can pop, boom, boom, boom. You can feel them up and down, and they're swaying around all over the place, okay? And that is the one job on the WJ that I've done so far in my whole life that I cannot stand doing it, because you're heating it up with a torch, and you're trying to spin it, you're smacking them loose, you're trying to get them spun out and count turns and measure and do all that. You can prolong the life of your tie rods if you are easy on your corners. Don't take corners at 40 miles an hour in this thing. It's not a race car, okay? It's a straight axle 4x4. Whether you have a 4.7 or a 4-liter or whatever you have in it. If you baby your turns in it, I mean, if your boot's split and, you know, like I had one over there that was split and it was completely dry. There was no grease in it. I was riding around on Flintstone bones and rocks. It just isn't a good idea. When you turn in these things too, you can tell by how when you drive one of these. People get comfortable with them. That's the thing, is you get comfortable. Some people are like, they're top heavy, I don't like to take corners quick. Well, that's a good thing to be afraid of, but they do corner pretty good. Jeeps they're not bad at cornering if you know how to drive them, but you get comfortable with driving it, you start taking turns a little quicker. Slow down. Slow down. That's what I noticed from my perspective when I started driving it. After I did those, I've done them before, but I haven't driven the vehicle. So this is my first. Well, I had a WJ before, but I never had the problem. But it was a two-wheel drive inline six. I didn't really like it. It was like, I don't know what's going on here. It's not really a Jeep. It's just kind of weird. It had an Akebono setup though, so it did stop on a dime. But this one here, bro. After I did those 3 joints, the steering, the pitment joint, the inner tie rod, the bar, and the outer here, I could feel the stress on. So I'm turning left, okay? And if I turn left at a high speed, I can feel the stress on that wheel. That stress all goes to that tie rod right there. Well, it also is check your shocks too. If you've got bad shocks, you're probably going to blow your tie rods right out of the socket there. They drop out. My old ones, I'd shoot them back in and notice they'd fall right out again. I was cornering a little too quick. You have to slow down to a very acceptable speed with these. 20 miles an hour, 15, whatever. Just don't take it at 40, okay? And I took it at probably like 30 miles an hour last night. And this is when I saw it. So if anybody online wonders why do the tie rods come loose and why does it wiggle in there, okay? Well, that's why. Also, bad shocks can contribute to it. So make sure you're staying up on your shocks. Make sure your control arms are good. And take your corners real smooth, okay? Real easy. No sharp cuts. It's not good for your suspension in these. The way these straight axles are set up and the way that the suspension is set up with the rods and the bars, it's most effective if you baby them around corners, okay? So they're not race cars, okay? What else can I tell you about it, all right? Is there any way to improve your steering? Well, you might be able to get like a rough country steering stabilizer or something like that, and aftermarket shocks, stuff like that, to get it to corner better. If you lift it, it's obviously not going to corner any better. I'm just being honest with you. So maybe a lot of Jeep owners do know about this, but I can tell you it's the WJ, and I think the TJ is set up kind of the same way. That those rod ends will pop out of the sockets. You'll still be able to drive it, but your steering is super loose. You're like, what's going on? It's because you're cornering too quickly. And it could be the person before you that owned it was cornering way too quickly and got way too speed racer with it, okay? So these are better work trucks and family SUVs than anything, okay? Off-road vehicles, absolutely. But you're not at the Daytona 500, dog. So don't be taking corners like that, okay? I noticed this last night on a hard turn.